welcome to yet another episode of the Linda Ogweno Political Show. Here we train aspirants about politics and political processes in Kenya, hoping that we will be able to bring better governance to Kenya. If you're going to campaign for an elective position, you definitely need money. And you could be wondering, how do I get to fundraise? So in this particular episode, that is what you're going to delve into. And we're going to look at 23 practical fundraising methods because you will definitely need resources for your campaigns. You can get resources in terms of cash. You can get resources in terms of in-kind. That means instead of somebody giving you cash, they can give you service or something else that will be able to substitute. But let's look at how do you get to fundraise. So the first way you get to fundraise is through your personal contribution. You as a candidate, you have to look at you must have your own contribution. This shows that you have vision for yourself and it will make people buy in. So plan for it and have your own savings, or make sure that you have put in mechanisms where you'll be able to make your own contribution. So as I have said, the advantage of this particular method is it shows people that you're committed and it has no strings attached. When some people support you for your campaign, it comes with strings attached. The disadvantage of this method is it drains your resources quickly, especially if 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 you need if that was all the savings that you had, all the savings can go just like that. Another way you can get to fundraise is through family and friends. Of course, you have a family, you have friends, they could chip in here and there. The advantage of this, it is a very easy approach, of course, because these are people who are familiar to you, and then they can also give you money. Apart from money, they can also give you moral support. The disadvantage of this, it is limited to scale, and it may create future expectations. Again, another way you can get to fundraise is through community harambes. Kenya is in Africa, and it is our tradition that we normally hold fundraising that are normally called harambes, and people contribute for one reason or another. So one of the advantage that this method has is that it is culturally accepted. As I have said, it brings visibility and it brings collective ownership. When members of your community and your friends come together and they fundraise for you, they feel they're part and parcel of your campaign. The disadvantage of this is that it can be time consuming. Planning for an Arambe can mean to have a lot of logistical arrangements, so it can be time consuming. I'd want to make a disclaimer that please look out for the requirements of IEBC as far as Harambes are concerned, because they have guided how this particular action is supposed to happen. But in case you don't know, just watch our episode where we managed to tackle that and you will remain informed. The other thing you can do to raise money is through fundraising events. For example, dinners, you can have breakfast briefings, you can have, let's say, marathons, you can have car wash concerts, you can have birthdays. I've seen people, instead of celebrating their birthdays the normal way, they turn it, instead of people giving them gifts, then people get to fundraise for their campaigns. So just be creative about it and think of the function that you want to do and go ahead and do it. The advantage is that it can raise significant amount of money. You can get a picture if you're doing a marathon. So you can raise a lot of money, and it can also give you a lot of visibility. The disadvantage to this particular method is that it is expensive to organize and it depends on your social network. So if you don't have a very big social network, that may mean not to work to your favor. The other way you can raise money is through mobile money platforms or crowdfunding. So when I talk about mobile money platforms, if you're in Kenya, I'm talking about things like M-Pesa till numbers or M-Pesa pay bill numbers. We have seen people be able to set them up, and therefore people are able to send in your contribution. If you're talking about crowdfunding, the most common one in Kenya is known as Mchanga. So again, you can set up this and people get to contribute towards your campaign. The advantage of this is that it is very convenient, it is scalable, it is accessible to people even in the diaspora. You find that anybody in the corner of this country is able to send you money, and even people in the diaspora, and you should not assume them, so they are able to contribute for you money, and it is very, very structured. The disadvantage of this is that it requires a lot of trust and constant communication. You find that if you're doing like an mchanga, you constantly have to update people. We are at this amount, we have reached this amount, yes, and that can be tedious. The other disadvantage it has deductions. Those platforms, the people who are providing them have their own deductions that they get to they get to charge. So if your contribution is going to be a huge number, that also means that the deduction will be high because it's always a percentage of the contribution, and that would be something that you may want to just consider. Again, you can fundraise through WhatsApp groups, you can fundraise through Telegram groups, you can fundraise through Facebook groups. People are in different groups for one reason or another, things that bring people together. So you can take advantage of those particular groups and fundraise there. Now that you're talking about the online space, you can do live streams. For example, you can do Facebook live streaming, you can do TikTok, you can do YouTube, Instagram, all those, just asking people to support your campaign. So be on the lookout for those, and just you can decide and take advantage of those platforms. Again, in the social media space, you can have people who are called influencers. So you can go for somebody to do for you an endorsement, an influencer to do for you an endorsement. So they just go and then they talk about your candidature, they market you up there and ask people to fundraise for you. It could work and it could give you a lot of money. So just look out for the influencers. Unfortunately, one of the disadvantages that comes with that is that that influencer will also be linked with your campaign. So if they do something that is not so positive, that can also reflect on your campaigns as well. Again, you can also decide and sell campaign merchandise. For example, you can sell t-shirts, laces, hoodies, you know. So this is it's double edged in terms of, as you'll be selling it and you're fundraising, the person who will be wearing it will be marketing it for you. So it's a very nice way to fundraise, and you can't think about it, but just get creative so that you have creative way by which you're able to fundraise. This really creates visibility. You can also fundraise by going door to door. Yes, it's an old method, but yes, you can still go door to door and ask people for money the way they used to do it. It works, and it makes people feel that the community feel that they are part and parcel of your campaign. The grassroots, even people who are down there, they feel that they are part and parcel of your campaign, as I have said. So again, it makes people emotionally invested in you, and they feel like you're in it together. The disadvantage of this method is that it is time consuming, and yes, it is also labor intensive. You can also set up a fundraising committee in your campaign team, and watch the episode where we talked about campaign team. You can have a fundraising committee, and therefore they'll go out to fundraise in different ways. They can be sending people SMSs, they can be calling, they can be sending emails, they can do very different things to fundraise for you, and that is going to bring you resources. So the advantage of this is that you delegate responsibility, and you don't have to carry all that burden by yourself, and you have a team who are focused. The disadvantage is that it requires people who are trusted, and of course, because they'll be handling money, so you need to trust that they can handle that money that they're going to bring. Again, people who will not mismanage those resources, and people who can be trusted by the community. The other way you can fundraise money is through professional associations and alumni network. You're probably part of a school, and you went to a school, and so you're an alumni of that school. So the alumni of that school can come together and fundraise for you. Or maybe you are a professional, maybe you're a doctor, so the doctors association and the doctors board, or you're an accountant, so they can come together and support you as one of their own. So you find that the advantage to this is that it is targeted, it is professional, and it is well funded. The disadvantage is that it requires existing strong ties in that particular alumni. You just can't come and just say you're vying and people are supposed to fundraise for you. You should have been part and parcel of the relationships and being a very strong member in that particular alumni group. Political parties, yes, political parties can also fundraise for you. What do I mean by that? If you're part and parcel of a political party, for example, they can come for rallies or roadshow at the area where you are vying, and they will come with merchandise, they will come with the roadshow or vehicles, and you see this will help you cut costs. So if you're in that political party and they're coming to your area, when that political party takes over that cost, you as a candidate, it has helped you to eliminate or to reduce that cost. And even apart from that, you find that the candidates of a particular political party, the flag bearers for the different position, usually campaign together. The person who's going for the gubernatorial teams up with the person who's going for the senatorial and MCA, like that. So when people are campaigning together, that helps reduce cost. You find that even within political party, you could somebody else would be asking you to support their candidature. Maybe the person who's going for gubernatorial position may support you, the person who's going for an MCA position. So this works, of course, to the advantage is to reduce your cost, but the disadvantage is this could limit your participation or your independence as a person within the political party. Again, you find that some political parties sometimes usually plant candidates because they want to have a national representation in all the areas of the country. So they get to plant candidates within those different areas. So if you're the person who's being planted by that political party, it is obvious that they are going to support you. On the contrary, that may work for you. The advantage is, of course, when they support you, then that is good. But it may work in your disadvantage, especially if that political party is not popular in the area where you will be vying for that election. And sometimes, if the people in that area lose that election, they may feel you have betrayed them, and they may feel you because you're looking for your own personal interest. That's why you decided to join the other political party that is not famous in that particular area. So in the future election, they may just remember, and as a person, they may end up victimizing you. So think about that strategy if you're going to use it. Again, even aspirants and politicians usually plant other candidates. Yes, you find that somebody going for a higher position plants people who are going for smaller positions, and they can even plant one or two candidates in one particular area. So as I've said, again, if they are going to plant you, they will support you. But if you're the one who's being planted, watch out, because that may not work in your favor. And if the people in that particular community gets to hear the wind of it that you're being planted, that propaganda may stick with you and your candidature even in the coming elections. So think twice about it. The other way you can get to also fundraise is through sale of property. You can sell your house, you can sell your land, you can sell your car. It is the advantage of this method, it is a way by which you can get a huge amount of money very quickly. The disadvantage is that it is high risk, especially if you lose elections. And I know you have had stories where people have lost elections after selling their family property, and it left them with a sour taste with their family members after elections. So think about that route before you take it. The other way you can also get to fundraise is through royalties, commissions, and dividends. Maybe you have shares somewhere and those companies get to pay dividends. The advantage of this method is that it is clean. The disadvantage of this method is that it can be inconsistent. You find that dividends are paid differently. This year, a company may pay a high amount. The previous year, probably they're paying a low amount. So again, the income that you get from these platforms can mean to be small, but it is also an income source. Again, you can fundraise through interest from your savings. You could be having a fixed deposit, you could be having money markets or treasury bills. All these are they usually pay interest from a certain after a certain particular time. So the advantage is that this is passive income and it is clean. The disadvantage is that it only works if you start early, and also if you relatively have a huge amount of money. Again, the other way you can get to fundraise is from discounts from vendors and other businesses. For example, if somebody gives you a discount about a particular product, so instead of having paid the actual amount, then you pay a low amount. That discount is very important, and the advantage is that it gets to lower your cost of campaign. The disadvantage of this method is that it limits you to only get discount in that particular product. You find that in a campaign you need to spend in very many things. So this person giving you discount in a particular product, it will not work for all the other products. But as they say, better have a loaf of bread than nothing at all. Again, the other way by which you can get to fundraise is when you get in-kind support from other businesses and companies. So for example, if they are producing a certain product, they can give you, apart from giving you discount, then they can donate to you that product. For example, they can give you sugar, they can give you, if it's somebody who's offering service, they can give you that service for free. Somebody can print for you posters, things like that. So again, the advantage of this is for the people who are doing it, the ones who are within your community, they'll feel like they're part and parcel of your campaign. It can help you really by community buy-in. Even that shopkeeper next door can just donate to you something, and they'll feel part and parcel of your campaign. A big disadvantage with this method is that people usually expect things in return. When you give people things, they expect once you have won elections, you will give them back a favor in one way or the other. CSOs also fund political campaigns. They do this through trainings. They do this by, sometimes they give merchandise. Sometimes they also offer in-kind support in terms of they can fund an activity. You find a CSO like FIDA would come and do maybe a legal aid clinic in your area, and that will go a long way in helping you. It will give you, people will see you within the community, and you're able to sort a particular challenge of that community. If people need legal aid, they're able to sort it, and at the same time, you're also campaigning using those platforms and resources from the CSOs. Some CSOs offer savings. Some CSOs offer savings. For example, you save and you save with them, like DTF. So if you're saving your personal saving, they match it. That is the word I was looking for. So they match it, and that will be able to help you at that particular fund. What Look out for DTF. They offer that, and it is very huge, especially for women. You find that you can find support from churches. For example, churches will give you a platform to talk to their congregation for free, and that can go a long way. Or even mosques. Again, you find that if they have functions, maybe like youth groups are organizing something, you can ride on that. The disadvantage of this method is that they may want not to be politically associated with your campaign, so they may want to remain neutral. When I come to the conclusion of this particular episode, you also want to look at volunteers. These are people who will put for you posters and just can help your campaign in one way or the other. It is a very cheap way, but it also helps in buying community buy-in. I'd want to say that if you're going to look for funds, there are people who may want something in return. So think twice before accepting funds from a particular person or from a particular organization. Again, it does not matter the amount of money that you have, it matters the passion that you have for that particular community. You could have money and lose elections, or you may have a lot of money and lose the election, or could have little money and win elections. I want to finish by urging you to look at the words of Songs of Solomon. Songs of Solomon, when Solomon was given a chance by God to choose what he wanted, he chose wisdom. And God told him, because you have chosen wisdom, I'm also going to add resources and wealth to it. So what I would advise you to choose wisdom. Pray and ask God to give you wisdom on how you can fundraise and how you'll be able to use this money. Thank you for watching this to this particular end. I want to also appreciate Women United for Our Future for their continuous unwavering support. And for you who has watched, see you in the next episode. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share with other political aspirants. Thank you and bye-bye.